bringing stuff that other people have made to light, not just our own stuff, but other people's stuff. So because we're all together, we all take a look at it, and not everybody agrees necessarily, or even if a couple of us are really familiar with that area of copyright and other people aren't, then maybe they won't vote on it or whatnot. But I mean, it's how we've approached reviewing kind of collectively for a while, and it's actually something that Samson talks about in some of his posts, that you need to have a whole bunch of people reject something. The way that something gets rejected is so much more difficult than getting something approved, that you really do have to have a number of people watching it, safeguarding the stuff that gets into the world and making sure it goes by the rules, because otherwise getting it out of the world is so much extra work for them. So it's not a matter of ganging up, it's a matter of a whole bunch of people taking it seriously. It's nothing personal, and if it feels like somebody's being ganged up on, that really sucks, but it's not actually what's happening.
Here's the truth of all. I mean, a show of hands, or, you know, just type it out to say I have. How many people actually read the rules for the developer program?
Like, see, exactly. That's actually not correct, and it's not true, and it's a generalization that it really doesn't fit, because I don't know anybody that just rejects things and doesn't approve things. Most of us would rather approve than reject, because, you know, rejecting is a negative thing, and it doesn't get anything in the world.
The other side of that is anybody who puts their neck out to do a rejection is because there are so many people who gang up on approving. I mean, if you're going to call it ganging up or rejecting, you call it ganging up on approving as much. A lot of us regularly lose points because stuff that shouldn't be getting through gets through, or we're still willing to stick our neck out on stuff that's in a gray area. Different of us take some of the copyright rules more or less seriously. There's certain leniencies in there as well. Like if something's been made available for use for like Twitter backgrounds or whatnot, there's a precedent for allowing that, even though it specifies Twitter background. But some people are like really, really strict about it. It says Twitter, this isn't Twitter. So, you know, that's a gray area.
I guess what I'm saying, like, you guys all know Chop's design, so he's not like a no name.
Yeah, and we've put a lot of approvals on his. I mean, if we're talking about us who hang out over at that group as a collective, we put a lot of approvals on his stuff.
Always approved it. I never once rejected his item.
Part of the reason that we wouldn't like gang up on his for approvals is because he already has a lot of friends who are doing that. So the stuff that we're seeking out is the stuff that is difficult, that is being ignored, that is in violation. I mean, the stuff that's in violation takes so much longer to review than just like, oh yeah, that one's awesome, approval. So, I mean, sometimes when you're seeing a lot of rejections, it's because one person is putting a lot of stuff that's needing rejections, or we're just focusing on that for a time.
Wait, can I just say one thing? You guys also have to understand, and it's not your fault, and I'm not saying it is, but you've been in the approval process a lot longer than some. So your votes weigh in more. So when you reject something, it's harder, and when you don't vote on something, it doesn't help anybody that's trying to put stuff into their economy that's going to make money for there. Does that make sense?
So who has run out of their time and hasn't been approved for something?
No, I just used Mullah Chops for an example, or
so does he have items that have gone the minimum time or the time that's required and still doesn't have approval?
No, but it would just be nice if if you spread your wealth, because you've been in the approval process more.
I know
do
you
you know what I'm saying?
Say that I do it. I know you all say that I do it. I work 12 hours a day, and I know that these people will get their approval points. However, the items that need to be
hang on a second. I'm not trying to point
Wait a second, I'm explaining.
Is this shirt
You guys
copyrighted
want to
because
call
somebody
people
else
out,
made it
then we
before?
will explain it. I work 12 hours a day. I don't have time to go through and put smiley approvals on everybody's stuff when I know it will be approved. Now, if rejected item, something that needs to be rejected, I know everybody's going to go put a smiley approval on something that shouldn't be in game. So I will reject that item, but I'll let the approvals go.
Yep. But don't you think it's unfair to throw your weight towards disapprovals instead of throwing some
No,
towards
because the
approvals.
game needs us to do that.
Yeah, it's
I,
the
under,
harder
I
of the
understand
two
that
things
just
to do. It
if
seems
it, I
pretty
understand.
I'll make a deal with you,
understand.
Delilah.
Wait,
I'll make
wait,
a deal
wait,
with
Is
you
this
right
shirt
now.
copyrighted?
wait,
Because
wait,
somebody
wait,
else
wait.
made it before.
Can I
No,
just say one
seriously.
thing? Can I say one thing before you guys yell?
No, I'm not yelling. I just want to offer something.
Wouldn't it make more sense to? I get what Riot just said, but wouldn't it make more sense to like say, hey, you know what? I'm throwing my weight towards the disapproval process, like, because things are copyrighted and this and that. I get that point. I totally get it. But to, you know what, to some random kid just to, I don't know, give him a chance and help him out.
Well, Delilah, I know you can't be familiar with every review, but it's kind of upsetting to me that you're basically saying flat out that we don't do that. That's how I met Shanghai. Where is she? I did not know her at all before I reviewed her item. It's not like I don't review people's stuff. It's not like any of us don't review people's stuff. But if we're expected to treat it like a job, we have to be paid for it, and we're not. It's part of our leisure time, and we can pick and choose which ones we want to review or have time to review. And that has to. I mean, nobody can really say you need to do more because it's for fun. It's very serious because it's people's creative work, but it's still for fun.
I just meant for all the, you know, time spent on, like, looking for copyright issues, just to, some of the people that put shit in, like, random people, I don't even care who it is. Like, I voted on eject stuff, and I don't know about copyright stuff, and I said yes. And then I had to turn my vote around.
With it. It really
I had to turn my
needs
vote
to
around and
let
say,
people like you know
no.
when there's been a rejection, so that you can be like, oh, there's new information. I need to check it out. Hopefully, Simpson and them will put something in so that people can be alerted
Well, it would just
when
be
something
kinda,
gets a
it would
rejection.
just be. Somebody brought up the point, like, if the approval process was random, and you couldn't pick what you were approving. It just popped up and said, this is what you're approving. Yes or no?
Well, see, that's not going to work because there's some.
Then that
I'm
doesn't.
not
Yeah.
going to judge. I'm not going to review women's clothes very often, unless I happen to be around a woman that's trained on the things, because I can't really see it unless I do.
But with the Jacks, everybody reviewed it right away. Like, I legit said yes to it because obviously I didn't know. I'm not saying my vote was right, but within it was like 6 votes from girls and boys saying this is a copyright issue, blah 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 blah, and I had to turn my vote
No,
around.
it's a trademark
so I didn't,
issue, and it has to be rejected. That's the way the rules
and
work.
I'm not arguing that. I understand.
It doesn't
that,
always
but
go that fast. Maybe tonight
Go
there happened to be a
violent.
group of people that were around and said, "Oh yeah, that's right. It's got to be done." So
well,
I'm going to do it now while I'm thinking about it, rather than try to remember to do it tomorrow, so I don't do it at the same time as everybody else. But here's what I'll do, and I'll promise you this, okay? If you see anybody in the review queue that has an item that and they're getting close to their time, you know, that they have to wait, whether it's 10 hours or 50 hours or whatever, and they're getting close to their time and they don't have enough review points, you send me a mail and I'll make sure I get online and I'll review their item, okay?
thank you. I appreciate that.
But if they're close to their,
Thank you, Jolly.
if they're close to getting approved and I get on and I
Thank
find
you
a
so
problem
much.
with it, I'm also going to contact 6 other people and make sure that they get to see it too and get a chance to keep it from getting approved if it doesn't need to be approved.
That's understandable. Absolutely. I just meant, like, spread it so that, because at the end of the day, if random people don't get the votes because it's not being seen, it's not being voted on, like, it's kind of like
But you know as well as I do that there are a lot of
especially-
people that have never rejected anything and won't reject anything. They'll either approve it or not do anything. And it doesn't even matter if things have been rejected, they'll still add their approvals to it. So if I happen to see something, okay, this is a problem, it needs to be fixed. You know, we can't have this. Got to reject it. All right. And then I don't share that with anybody that I know that will also give it a fair and honest review. Then 20 other people are going to come along and just, okay, approved, because they're not looking at it anyway and they don't care. So,
Understood.
you know, if it's, hey,